Hello, everybody. Welcome. It has been so long. At least it feels like it's been a long time for me. I hope you all haven't missed me too much. But I can tell you that I have missed you all. So I'm trying to think the last time I had a live stream. Let's see, it was definitely last week. Which I suppose the delay is in part because just with how busy last week was. I think I had a live stream or video like every day for 7 days in a row. I decided to take a few days off. Yep, so taking a few days off just to rest and relax. And then a bit earlier this week, I also had guests staying over at my house for a little while. So that also made it kind of trickier to stream. But back in the swing of things now. So hoping to get back into it, and also with some streams next week too. Teradito, good to see you again. Yeah, it is a little bit late. Sometimes I like the late streams. I might experiment with slightly earlier times in the coming weeks. But then other times there are meetings, and so it gets a little tricky. But if it is past anybody's bedtime, I understand. So rest assured, I do not judge anyone for going to bed early. Now, of course, the goal for today's stream is to beat Sisyphus. The game of Sisyphus. We are going to try to make it all the way to the top. Now, I was hoping to do that last time, but we ran into some obstacles. And eventually, I just had to say, okay, Sisyphus, we'll fight this battle another day. Well, today is that day. And I am honored and glad to have you all here by my side for that battle. And that includes you as well, Tiafair. Welcome. I was honestly afraid your account got hacked because of that weird 6-second video. Did it really seem like something I wouldn't post, like to that extent? That you thought my account was hacked? Oh, now I feel kind of bad for making people worried. Well, just know that in case you ever do forget how to open a book, that video will be there for you. So you can always have it on hand as a resource, or can share with any of your friends who might forget how to open a book. Thought it would be good just to have a nice, little resource like that for anybody who runs into trouble. With that said, I'm feeling ready to go ahead and start this. So let us proceed, chat. I'm just going to move over here for a little bit. Since we are doing a gaming stream today, why don't I bust out a gaming chair? Yeah, here it is. There we go. And it's a little big. I'm going to make it slightly smaller here. Also maybe make myself a little bit smaller. It's always a process of finessing with these things. Trying to get it just right. And then, oh, of course, I can't forget my controller. Almost forgot. But can't play this game. Got a good controller. Here we are. Yes, there we go. Just gonna bring this bad boy over here. There we go. So Tia Ferris says, we found something weirder than your takes, your sense of humor. Okay, fair enough. I will admit, my sense of humor can be a little strange sometimes. But don't worry, there's more where that came from. So if you like weird videos, including short videos on strange topics, I have a feeling there are going to be some more of them coming up quite soon. course, today's game is the Game of Sisyphus. Why don't I put this in full screen so I can make it a little easier to see? There we go. Also going to drag OBS over to this window. There we go. That's a little bit better. Apply. Okay, now I'm feeling pretty ready to take this on. I don't know about you all, but I'm feeling good about this one. Tonight, I think we are going to get all the way there. Oh, Victor Poe, hello. Hello to you as well. So last time, you might remember the tragedy of all of the setbacks, all the times the boulder rolled back down the hill. Well, today, I say no more. I say we are in this to win it, chat. So here we go. This nice shiny boulder here, main man Sisyphus. And last time, yeah, we got it right back up to the hammer part. We were originally much farther. Then we rolled back down. Fortunately, though, we're able to get it at least back to here. So you know what? I will take that. I'm happy with that. I think we can make this work. Oops. Oh, no. What? No. What was that? How? I moved it like 2 inches and it started rolling. Oh no, now it's over the cannons. Okay, this is... I'll be honest with you, chat. This is not off to the best start. Hopefully it stops here, though. If it stops on this checkpoint, you know, I can live with that. Just no more. Just no. I was saying no more. Okay, well, still going. I was saying, chat, we were going to get through this today, and we still might, but geez, this is not the start I was hoping for. Teradito says you should push it back down for fairness. Well, looks like it is going down either way. So you might be getting your wish. Yep. Strap in, chat. This is going to be a long haul. Tonight's stream, I feel like. And Sisyphus is not the fastest runner. So that makes another challenge. Now, if it can just stop somewhere... Oh, nope, still rolling down. Maybe it'll stop by these boxes. If it does, then I'll... Oh, nope, still running. Oh, yeah, the oil's not helping. That oil is very slick. Of course, the start should start from the start. Oh, no. Teradito, please. We can't let ourselves think like that. Ugh, then it misses that checkpoint too. All I want is just for it to get one of these checkpoints. Because at this rate, like, it really is going to go back to the very beginning. I think, yeah, this is farther than it's ever gone down. Like, now it's past the ice. Oh, I remember how long I spent on that part, too. Yep, missed that checkpoint. Maybe it'll stop on this next one. I'm going through, like, the stages of grief here with bargaining. Okay, yeah, please just stop on this one. Stop. No. Of course, no way it could have stopped. That would have been too good to be true. Okay, it's still going down quite far. Use determination. I will try. To use, okay, maybe there. Maybe there is a good place for it. Oh, no, oh, the snowballs. I forgot about the snowballs. Okay, I hope the snowballs don't push it out from where it currently is. If they do, this is going to be even more dire than it was before. Yes, use determination. I will try to use determination. At this point, I think that's the only thing I have left to see this battle through. But I have to say, I was not expecting such a huge roll down the hill so soon into this playthrough. I apologize for what you just had to witness. There is a part of me that's thinking maybe it will just make the final victory all the sweeter. I do not know, but we will find out. Okay, I'm getting to a point where he can actually start to see the boulder now. So that's good. Yeah, that was probably at least half the mountain to where I've gotten up so far. Okay, yep, here we go. So, gonna take a break here. That was already a huge amount of running for Sisyphus. Okay, time to be determined. I'm gonna have to use my timing to get the ball back up there. And, oh no. Okay. Seems to be stuck. Yeah, I don't think Sisyphus has enough power to get it out of where it currently is. So quite the conundrum. Because so far in Sisyphus's challenge, the main okay, I think the snowball helped. Okay, good. But, oh no, now there's not enough. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait for a better chance. Okay. Now if I just roll it over here, I can get it out of the way in time. Okay. So that's good. So now, chat, we are back in this. Back in this race. The first progress in what feels like a long time. But it is progress, and I will take it. Every step up is a step closer to the top of this hill. So now we are actually getting pretty close to the checkpoint on this section. So that's good. At least we didn't start too far away from this first checkpoint of the section we rolled down to. But I think, yeah, from now on, safety is the name of the game. No more dangerous strategies. Instead, going to try to play it safe. CP Ninja says, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. Sometimes it's hard to imagine him happy, but can certainly try. It does make this a happier story. Less tragic if we imagine Sisyphus happy. So I know Camus would be in approval of that thought. Okay, I'm gonna here. So now with this ice, it becomes a lot less predictable. If you all were here for the last stream, you might remember that this was the part where I really started having a lot of trouble on. So I might go a little bit more slowly with it this time. Especially near the end of this section, there's a very difficult part with a narrow bridge. So that's the part where I'm really going to have to put on my A game. But with any luck, I'll be able to get through it faster than last time and get back up the hill. I like that thought, Victor, but one must imagine Sisyphus as a pro gamer. I mean, in some ways, what gamers do, you know, it's kind of like Sisyphus in a way. We face the same struggles again and again, always trying to get farther. Of course, I suppose you could say with gamers, there's more of a sense of lasting progress, perhaps, than there is for Sisyphus. But maybe not in all cases. Anyway, it's an interesting question. How we might be similar to and different from Sisyphus with his boulder. Okay, gonna just wipe my hands for a bit. Oop. Not gonna lie, sometimes my hands are getting a little bit sweaty and I want to wipe them on something, but I'm also like afraid that if I do, like that's gonna be the end of it. I'm gonna lose all of the progress that I've just made. Okay, maybe I can just pause the boulder here for a second. Most skilled ball handler in the world? Yeah, I mean, that's certainly has a lot of time to practice it, so I can easily imagine that for him. Now here we come to the bridge, and yeah, this part was an absolute nightmare last time. Even just getting it like to the start of the bridge. The ice somehow feels less predictable here. But once I get it on that bridge, I'm going to try to go slowly. Okay. Yeah, this is one of the key choke points in the run. Like this part right here is where Sisyphus became a man. Especially with that narrow bridge at the very end. One of the key challenges of this part is not being able to see always, having limited visibility. Just kind of have to feel it out. Using the strategy of walking slowly. Okay. Looks like I'm maybe mostly in the clear. I'm going to play it safe till I get to the checkpoint. Whew, first try. Whew. I'm not going to lie. I was nervous for that one, y'all. Really nervous. So now, I'm just going to rest for a moment. Okay. The next section should not be as bad. I think for the next one, it's just a matter of pushing it up and not making any careless mistakes. So as long as we avoid careless mistakes on this part, should be okay. I'm going to let Sisyphus go a little bit faster than last time. Yep, got some uneven territory. But other than that, pretty smooth sailing. I would much rather take the slightly uneven rocks over the ice. Though I will also say after last time, I don't want to trust anything to chance. So every section remains at least a little bit scary. So if you see me sweating, that's why. I've been hurt too many times with this game. Yep, hurt one too many times. Oh, thank you, TFAir, for the nice compliment. Figured out the technique for that part. Yeah, I think with that part, like once you do it the first time, the next times are definitely easier. But just getting it over that narrow bridge the first time around really is one of the hardest challenges in this game, I think. Okay, a little unevenness there. Gonna try to walk it back a little bit. Okay, nice and smooth. Yep, definitely going for incremental progress. I tell you what, chat, let's just agree that we won't have any more massive setbacks like the previous one. That is something I'm going to try to provide, at least. Or I'm going to try to keep that promise to you. Though I cannot guarantee whether I will be able to keep it. Because this game is just that unpredictable sometimes. Okay, just a few more rocks left, big rocks in this part. And then we've got another checkpoint. Victor Poe says, are there any female counterparts to Sisyphus that give the same philosophical point? That's a great question. See, I'm trying to think now, like, female characters, whether in mythology or just stories in general, who are stuck in an interminable process, making no progress, but where at least some would argue we can, or we must, imagine them happy. I'll admit, nothing comes to mind off the top of my head. But if anyone thinks of any in chat, feel free to post them. Or if you look them up and find any, I would be curious to know. So we have here, okay, this events. Yeah, I definitely remember this part from last time. For this section, it's really mostly a timing challenge. So we just have to be sure not to get cocky. To be willing to just wait a minute until the vents have finished blowing. Yep, I think that's the main mistake you want to avoid on this part, is jumping the gun. Sometimes it can be tempting. You might think you'll be able to make it past the vent before it starts blowing. But if you start trying to take this section too fast, well, that is a recipe for quick regret. Okay, past this line right here. Okay, yep, doing pretty well. Because I remember one time last stream, I definitely did jump the gun, and that really ate up a lot of my progress. So I'm determined not to commit that mistake. Actually, now that I think about it, seeing all these vents here, it kind of reminds me of a whale, you know? Like a whale's blowhole. That's the main thing I think of when I come across this section. Yep, there she blows. Alright. In fact, I think this might be the part where I lost control of the boulder in one of my previous playthroughs. So I'm going to take some extra time on that part. So we're going to wait here. That's right. It helps that they're all on a regular cycle. So if some of them were to blow at different times than the others, I think that would be certainly one of the things that could make it more difficult. We have a giant circle here. Yeah, I think the easiest way to take this part is just to send it right on in through the middle. I guess you could try to hug the edge, but to my mind, that's probably a more difficult strategy. So maybe I'll send it to the right here. There we go, and the checkpoint is in sight. Same as last time, gonna take my time, get it to the checkpoint. Okay, a little close there. Closer for comfort than I would have liked. I'm just gonna wait another cycle on that one. See if I can push it past on this one. There we go. Okay, it was a little bit close. Probably should have waited on that one. But luckily, looks like no harm done. And that is another checkpoint. So TP Ninja says, I hope this isn't a repetitive question you've encountered, but will you hold philosophy talk streams in the future? And will you explore political science? Yeah, I don't think that's a repetitive question at all. I don't mind the question. For philosophy talk streams in the future, yes, definitely. So philosophy, just chatting streams or streams where I just read something that I've written, or maybe that someone else has written and we talk about it. Those are definitely streams that I see myself continuing to do. For political science, yeah, I have not studied political science a great deal. Probably not a great deal on that will be in this channel, but I can say that I am interested in the issue of political polarization and questions about that. So maybe we'll have to have a talk about political polarization sometime. Like, I know I have one blog post I've written on that, and like could maybe read that on stream sometime and talk about that. Oh, and thank you for the congrats too. Yep, so now with that section behind us, okay, we have the oil next. These boxes make it a little tricky that they're right in the front. But yeah, with this oil section, occasionally Sisyphus slips back a little bit. But otherwise, this section isn't too bad. You just have to kind of be ready for the slips. I think the developers are still kind of trying to go easy on you on this section, like after the ice one. Because they don't want to have like two really hard sections back to back. Which is nice of them, you know? Appreciate that they have at least somewhat of a heart while making this game. So I'm trying to do a minor in political science now. I was really surprised how grounded it was in philosophy, hence the question. Yeah, I don't doubt that there are a lot of interesting connections between the two fields, and actually I could probably stand to study them more. So your comment, TP Ninja, is helping give me a little extra motivation to start reading more on political science. If you have any like particular books or authors that you'd recommend in the field, let me know in the chat, and maybe I'll make a note of them and have that be kind of something that I read next. Or maybe they're trying to get your guard down. That could be it too. I would not put it past them to try something like that. Because something tells me that the developers of this game secretly enjoy the thought of people just being forced to chase the boulder back down the hill. So you never know with developers like this. By the way, I hope the game sound is good. If it's too quiet, let me know, or if it's too loud. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell on OBS, but I can change that if anybody is feeling like it's too loud or too soft. Okay, now after this diagonal row, or these two diagonal rows of boxes, I think we have another checkpoint in sight. I'm pretty sure. That's right. Yep, another checkpoint, and then the shifting floors. While we're here, though, like this is one of those sections that lets you get a really good view of the scenery. So make sure to take in that nice view. Like the mountains on this game really are cool. I like that the developers put some effort into making it have nice scenery. Another checkpoint coming up, and then quick break. Okay, there we go. That's good. Terodita says, metaphysics is quite political. It's fun to consider how such a hard-to-grasp field can relate to what dictates lives. That's an interesting thought about metaphysics being political. I'd be curious to hear if you have more to say on that. Because I know for me, at least, when I think about metaphysics and questions like, why is there something rather than nothing? Or, like, is there a God? Or is there such a thing as free will? All of those are metaphysical questions, arguably, but it's not obvious to me that they're political questions, or what the political significance is. Though I guess to be fair, with the God question, maybe that one has a little more political significance than the others. But in any case, I'd be curious to hear if you have any thoughts on the senses in which metaphysics might be political. I'm open to the thought that it is. I was asked to use Understanding the Political World, a comparative introduction to political science. So perhaps you could check that out. Okay, thanks. That helps to know. I haven't heard of that particular author, but I have no doubt I could learn a lot from reading his book, his comparative introduction. Tia Fair, I'm interested in political polarization as well. Not everyone may agree, but I wouldn't necessarily mind some politics through a philosophical lens on this channel. Yeah, I mean, I think to the extent that I do discuss politics, it will definitely be through a philosophical lens. So I'm wondering now, like, is there any other way to talk about it? Maybe all discussions of politics are at least, somewhat philosophical at their core. But in any case, yeah, definitely through a philosophical lens. I like thinking of questions like that. Questions, for example, of like what, if anything, the key ideological differences between like a conservative and a leftist political outlook. Like I find questions like that interesting. So yeah, probably we will go into those questions at some point. Actually, I was going to try to push it up, but I think now I'm going to keep playing it safe. Wait for the next cycle. Okay, there we go. Yep, feeling pretty good. This wood is also quite nice. It looks like, good quality wood. I also just get kind of a pirate ship vibe from this part of the level so far. It's a nice, interesting contrast to some of the other sections. I'm interested in how the philosophy talks will go. Sadly, I don't think I'm smart enough to hold a conversation on the matter. I'm a fashion major, but I always enjoyed reading philosophy. Well, Victor, I will just say, for whatever it's worth, I think that you are definitely smart enough to have a conversation on the matter. I think it's very easy to be one's own worst critic when it comes to things like how smart one is, or whether one has the, necessary intelligence to talk about philosophical things. But one thing I can tell you that might help with this matter is just that everyone who talks about philosophy, or just about everyone, there might be isolated exceptions, but they truly are isolated exceptions. Almost everyone who talks about philosophy or studies philosophy in any serious way has those feelings from time to time. That kind of imposter syndrome is very common, including, or actually maybe not even just including, maybe especially at the highest echelons of education. Like, go to any graduate program in philosophy, any PhD program, and people there will admit to you, if they're being honest, that they often feel as if they either do not deserve to be there, or as if they're just not cut out for the work that they want to do, or at the very least they have doubts about whether they're cut out for it. That is very common. I've felt that way plenty of times myself. And when it comes to feelings like that, I think, yeah, the best thing to remember is just that everyone feels that way from time to time. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It just means that you appreciate how difficult the questions are. So if you ever find yourself in a philosophical discussion and you're feeling like, hey, this is like really challenging stuff, just know that it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. In fact, I would be more worried if you were taking part in a philosophical discussion and you were thinking like, hey, this isn't hard at all. Because when somebody is thinking that about philosophy, usually it's a sign that they haven't fully grasped the problem at hand. They haven't grasped how difficult it is. And so I think it's just the nature of the material. There is something inherently very challenging about it, which can make it easy to wonder like, oh, okay, am I smart enough to think about this stuff? So I would say easier said than done to not just like to not worry about this. But if I were you, I would try not to worry about it. I think that you're more than smart enough. If you even just like from this channel, from my philosophy videos, if in watching them you've thought like, hey, that's interesting, I think that is a sign that your mind is attuned to thinking about this kind of question. And so I hope that you'll think of it further without worrying about whether your mind is up to the task. I think it is. So anyway, that is today's random encouragement speech. I'll be giving a lot more of those in the it's like encouraging speeches is something that I've always liked to give. I try to encourage people in general because I think it's easy to be too hard on oneself. Speaking of encouragement though, I might need some coming up depending on how I do on this section with the bombs. Because this section, it's the kind of section that can seem like it's going well, but then like if one ravine just kind of veers in the wrong direction, you might find yourself getting dangerously close to one of those bombs. And if you hit one of the bombs, well then, at that point it's pretty much over. Like I see there's one coming up on the right. I'm just going to try to push it a little bit to the left so that I don't get too close to it. Yep, there we go. That is... I'm going to try not to hit this one on the left. That's right. Yep, just charting a middle path. The middle way is what it's all about. Happy medium. Sometimes it can kind of get stuck on the edge, though. Like it was a little stuck right there. You have to move it when there are bombs on the edge. Nope. Okay, whew, that was close. Yep, there are going to be some close calls in this game, but as long as they don't devolve into anything catastrophic, I'm okay with that. So we've got another kind of tricky ravine here. Okay, there we go. Oop. Oh, oh no. Okay. Okay. Oof, that was close. Okay, I'm just gonna pause it right here. Okay. Whew. Okay. Thank you all for believing in me. I know it might be hard to believe in me after that close call right there, but we're getting through this, you know? We are gonna make it through. Or, yeah, this one, I'm just going to hug the edge for a minute to get past this next bomb. Then off to the right. Okay. And coming up on another checkpoint, I'll be able to breathe a little bit easier once I'm through with this section. Yeah, maybe I'll go to the right-hand checkpoint, just because there are no bombs close to there. I think if I'm not mistaken, this was around the part that I... Okay, that kind of scared me for a minute there, okay. Yeah, it was around this checkpoint that I think we started the stream with. So... Phew, okay, that feels good to be back. To be back here. And then, oh, I want to make sure I haven't missed too much of the chat in that. Tia Fair says, Victor Post says, thank you for the encouragement. Oh, you're very welcome. Tia Fair, thanks for the insight into the world of philosophical academia. My 2 cents on that matter is even elementary school kids can hold philosophical debates. It's not universal, but it's been done. Oh, absolutely, yeah. For this, agree 100%. I think sometimes elementary school kids can be, in their own way, the best at raising philosophical questions. And sometimes I have worked with students before who were in elementary school for like helping them learn philosophy, and it's always a lot of fun to talk about philosophy with them. Thank you for the belief in me, TP Ninja and Victor Poe, and Tia Fair. Yep. Without you all here, I don't know if I'd have the mental fortitude to make it through this. But your confidence in me is what keeps me going. Okay, I'm just gonna put it right here. Okay. For this one, play it safe. Kind of a nice earthy sound on the way the ball rolls on this one. Not sure what material we're rolling it on, but maybe it's like some kind of almost like pottery, like some kind of hardened clay. Anyway, overall, I don't mind this section too much. I think this section is okay. Yep, you can even just push the ball straight off. Doesn't matter if the platform is on the ground yet or not. That makes it a little more leisurely. Okay, now this part gets a little harder. You just have to make sure that you're not... Oops. Oh no! After I was just saying that part wasn't quite as bad. Yeah, that's another thing you do have to pay attention to in this part, is making sure Sisyphus himself does not get pulverized by those hammer things. In fact, maybe I'll just wait one more on that one. Okay. Okay, good. Nice and even. Now this part too is where it gets a little tricky with the timing. Okay. There's another platform coming up. And this one, you don't want it to fall kind of to the left or the right, because then it's really hard to get it back up on the platform. So I'm going to try to do this one in kind of just one take. Yep, nice and smooth. Lol, it pushed Sisyphus. Yeah, it's always a surprise when it pushes Sisyphus himself instead of the boulder. But sometimes this game just gives those little surprises to you, you know? Whew, another platform timing. Pause here. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna wait on that one. There we go, close to another checkpoint. Now I can actually see the lightning sort of monument in the distance. So that's good, because I think that's where it gets really close to the end. Okay, chat, we've made it actually a pretty long way since we started, or at least since we kind of got set back to that that initial point after the ball rolled down a whole bunch. I don't think this next section will be too difficult. I think this next one's one of the easier sections. I feel like in the secular world, topics pertaining to thought/philosophy are gatekept or being used as a selling point now. Like how everyone sells courses for business/self-help. Tia saying gatekeeping among adults made me think of that. Yeah, I mean, I think that does happen a lot. Especially when people present themselves as like infallible gurus on philosophy or philosophical questions. That's a thing that can happen sometimes. And for people who maybe haven't studied much philosophy, it can be very difficult to like tell the difference between serious philosophy and somebody who's just, being overconfident or maybe doesn't have philosophical training but is presenting themselves as, having all the answers. So that's one thing that I hope I can do with this channel is not give people all the answers, but help people reach a place where they can find their own answers to difficult philosophical questions. And also to where they can evaluate, other answers that are proposed by other people. I certainly do not present myself as someone who has all the answers. But I do like to think that together we can help give ourselves the intellectual resources, the cognitive resources to be able to think through some of these very challenging but very fascinating questions about life and about how we should live. Now this section, I don't know if I've ever had any serious setbacks here. I might have once maybe when I got a little complacent. So I think that's the key here, is just making sure that you don't get lulled into a false sense of security. One thing that actually does kind of occur to me now as I do this section is that I wonder if there's any potential in the idea of like a physical game show that has this as a premise. Kind of like American Ninja Warrior, but just like with Sisyphus. Or like Takeshi's Castle, maybe. But like where this is one of the challenges. Where you roll a boulder. Maybe not a boulder, because like if it were a full boulder, that would probably be too heavy, but something boulder-like. Rolling it up a hill. In the face of obstacles. I like to think that there's potential in that idea. Like maybe we could make Sisyphus proud through that. Okay, close to the checkpoint for this section too. And last, I knew this was coming, but the next section is definitely going to be one of the hardest. This next section being the lava section. Gonna have to pause at the checkpoint, really gather my courage before that one, chat. Whew. Okay, checkpoint time. So, gonna do the classic gamer move now of wiping my hands on my shirt because they're getting kind of sweaty. This game is stressful. It can be a nerve-wracking experience sometimes, especially in sections like the one we have coming up with this lava here. Wipeout would be a lot more fun if they had to carry a boulder. I don't know if I've ever seen Wipeout, but yeah, from the sound of it, having to carry a boulder would certainly up the challenge. Something that would have been around during the mid-2000s. Yeah, I can see that. Like, I don't know if anybody here has ever seen that show MXC, but kind of gives me that vibe. Got our boulder here. Okay. Well, chat, I'm going to give it a try. We'll see if we can get this boulder past the lava. One thing that makes it extra hard is that you have these wooden planks, but it has to have a certain momentum to even get over the plank. So there might be some sections here where I have to even go just a little more slowly. Because if the boulder gets away from here, like, you can't really chase after it by going into the lava. Sisyphus himself has to stay on the planks. So one of the hardest parts is just making sure that you keep absolute control of the boulder at all times. If you let it get away from you, that is going to be a death sentence on this part. Okay. Yep, so forgive me, I might not be talking as much during this part, just because this one's really intense. But I will try to get it through first try for y'all. We'll see if we can. Okay, yeah, this is definitely one of the trickier sections of it. Yep, you've got that little raised part right there. Getting on top of that is going to be one of the challenges here. Okay, ooh, that was close. Okay. So maybe I need to bring it back here and then just kind of make sure it really has a lot of momentum. Okay, didn't quite get it that time, but maybe this next time. Okay, I think this has got it. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely one of the rougher parts of this run. Okay. Just gotta keep up the good quality now. Now I've got some explosive barrels. That's gonna make it even trickier. I'm gonna try to... Oh yeah, I gotta build up some momentum for this part, I think. Okay, there we go. Okay, kind of close to the checkpoint now, but I can't let my guard up. I have to keep my focus. Because one mistake now could make me lose everything. We're almost in the clear. Whew, okay. Oh boy, okay, that is a relief. Wow. Okay. Thank you all for sticking with me on that one. That was a hard section, but it looks like we got it first try. So I am really happy about that. Wow. Yep. Thinks lava looks deceptively like soup. Yeah, it kind of does, you know? Like a really hot soup. Okay. Now, here for the golden shifting floor, this is as far as I got in the previous run, or the previous stream, I should say. And then I just had a big mistake on it, and it sent it just most of the way back down the mountain. So I'm going to try to be extra careful this time around. But definitely with the ice sections and the lava section behind us, those were some of the hardest sections. So now at least maybe it won't be quite as bad in this next section. Just gotta kind of let it ride the wave. Yep, make sure it doesn't get away from you. And you can just keep pushing it on past those yellow blocks. Okay. Kind of a tough timing challenge there, but luckily nothing that our man Sisyphus could not handle. Okay, just kind of going through the center. Yeah, this part I'm really scared of because last time it went so badly for me, but I think like actually objectively this part is not quite as challenging as some of the previous ones. It's just one of those ones where things can go south like really quickly if you're not careful. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna wait, gonna play it safe. Oh, well, gonna try to play it safe. Gonna try to play it safe. No. Okay. See, that's just what I was talking about, chat. How this one, you can think it's going well, but then just in one slight slip up, will take it all away from you. I think this time, maybe I should hug the edge. Yep. Yeah, that's probably a safer strat. Just as long as you don't get it kind of sandwiched anywhere. Okay. So now to the checkpoint, and then I can rest easy for a little bit at least. Okay, phew, that's good. Okay, so we've got... Oh, at first I thought those were like Christmas trees, but okay, they're little gems. Yep. You can kind of see the end up there. Chat, the end is in sight. So now just have to really make sure that I focus. Going to try to make this one without in a massive fallbacks down the hill. Okay, not too bad on those little whirling parts. I'm just gonna go for the gap and then try to get it past the gems. For those who have played Ocarina of Time, these gems kind of remind me of the currency from that game. Not sure if that's what the developers were going for, but it is what it makes me think of. Yep, nice and easy. Now this one's a little more nerve-wracking because of how fast the movement is once it starts moving. I think I might wait one more cycle. Okay, there we go. Okay, I've got some red ones here. Let's see how these ones move. Okay. Yeah, not too bad. Then, yep, okay, I figured this one would move that way. All right. We'll just take it slow, kind of like the previous one. Of course, we do have these rolling sections here now, so that makes it a little bit harder. But should still be possible to keep it where it is until, yep, can make it past now. Okay, good. We're doing okay on this one so far. Okay, that red one came in handy there. I should never say things like we're doing okay so far in this game. It is just an invitation for it to get jinxed. Okay, so we gotta go to the left here. And then looks like another one coming up. Gonna wait one more cycle on this one. Oh, and another checkpoint. Wow. That one came up faster than I thought it was going to. Yeah, this one, getting it to the left checkpoint. I could go with the right one too, but either way, getting it to that checkpoint should be pretty manageable. All right, there we go. And, yep, first try for this. Okay, that is what I like to see. Okay, we're doing it, chat. Got another section here. This one's with the, looks like bamboo there. Twirling bamboo. So I think we can make it past this one. We'll just have to do the same methodical approach. Kind of like philosophy in a way. Like philosophy is usually at its best when it goes slowly. If you try to take on too much at once, like try to defend too many claims in a paper too fast, it's probably not going to work out super well. This game's kind of similar, you know? Just gotta take it one step at a time. Okay, kind of a similar dynamic here with the gems from earlier. Yep, Just gotta wait for the gap. And okay, yeah, that's looking pretty good. I wonder if Sisyphus dreams of getting the boulder to the top of the hill. Does he ever take a moment to fall asleep, do you think? And if he does, is that what he dreams about? I like to think that maybe he gets some time to take a break. Although maybe that goes against the myth, the idea of like this being a punishment for him. Like if he gets to take breaks, maybe that makes it too easy. But if it were up to me, I'd give him a chance to take some breaks. But then again, I guess maybe I wouldn't maybe I wouldn't put him in this situation in the first place. Unless he wanted to be in it, but okay, that was close. That was a little too close for comfort. I think I got sidetracked on the philosophy of Sisyphus and stopped paying as much attention to the game of Sisyphus. Okay, here we go. All right, looking good there. And I think I should be able to just send it, yeah, straight through to this next one. Maybe just kind of off to the side here. Yep, there we go. Oh, maybe I jumped the gun. I think these go up 3 times. Let's count. 2, 3. Okay, yep. Good timing on that one. Yeah, I don't want to discount the strokes of luck that I've had. Because every once in a while in this game, not just bad luck, you know, sometimes there is good luck. Like when you lose control and something catches it in time. There have been a few times this run where that's happened. So I'm certainly grateful for that. Two, 3. Okay. Now over. Okay, yep. There we go. So I do believe that also makes this one a first try section. Kind of like the previous one. Okay, good chance for a break. We must stay focused. Yes, that is a good reminder, Victor Poe. Indeed, we must. Teradito isn't the break when the boulder rolls down. It's the moment he stops pushing it, dealing with its weight. Yeah, I mean, that's one way you could think about it. But I also think, like, if he's running after it, it's not clear to me how much of a break it is. Like, maybe it's still labor, just kind of a different kind of labor. Or to be fair, it is lesser. Like, it seems less difficult to run down the hill after it. Like, it's still some work, but maybe just the fact that it's less work makes it enough of a break. At least according to the gods, in its own right. Yeah, that's one way we could think of it. So now we have these floating rocks. And yeah, kind of like with the other sections, the name of the game here is just making sure that the floating rocks do not touch the boulder. And I think for this section, it starts off in a way that's not too difficult. But then it definitely gets harder near the end. There's going to be some fast movement in some of these floating rocks. So, wish me luck, chat. I'm going to be trying to get this through here. Okay. Yeah, this one is kind of a threading the needle challenge on some of these. Yeah, the gods really went all out in designing this obstacle course for Sisyphus here. It makes me wonder right now, like, could there ever be a sequel to this game? I mean, I guess there could be, but like, how they would try to fit it into the story. Because by its very nature, the story is like he's doomed to be doing this forever. I mean, I guess they could just add like new obstacles, maybe. Maybe that would be the way to do it. Or maybe like someone else gets subject to the same punishment, and so like now Sisyphus has a teammate. You know, like another person rolling boulders up the hill. Kind of like how in the Mario games, there's like, you know... Okay, that was a little scary there. Okay, oh, okay. That was my bad. I did not... Let's just keep up on that thing. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to complain because that could have been a lot worse. Actually, no, I'm going to wait on this one. I'm going to send it to the middle. Yep, that was close to catastrophe. But the gaming gods saw fit to not send me all the way back to the beginning on that one. Little moments like that go to show you just like how easily these things can happen in this game. You can never be too careful. I think that's the real lesson that I like to take from all this. Yeah, so for this one, I think instead of hugging the left wall, probably a safer strat is to go right. Yep. To go right, then left. Because, yeah, now I'm farther along than I was last time. Let's pause here, make sure I have this section figured out. Okay. Okay, I think that actually have saved me a little time. So, yep, I totally intended to do that, chat. Maybe I should wait here. Yep. Yeah, sometimes it gives you a little boost. So it's always a little nerve-wracking when it does. Here, yeah, I think I'm going to wait on this one. And for the first time in the run, here we have kind of diagonal checkpoints. I'm not quite sure why they're that way, but in any case, it's an interesting setup. So we've got kind of a mint pattern on this next one. These puzzles have gone from mostly natural obstacles like ice and cacti to whatever the hell this is. There is definitely a progression in the nature of the puzzles. Yeah, they're becoming... It almost feels like more supernatural as the puzzles go on. So for this section, yeah, I'm not really sure what material this is made out of. Looks like there's nothing floating at least, so maybe Maybe that's will provide some measure of relief. So we have, yep, just some squares, or yeah, cube-like objects on the ground that we just have to make sure to avoid. If we can do that, should be all good for this section. So here I can't avoid having it go over some of the raised blocks. So I'll just try to kind of skirt a path through the middle. And yep, okay, smooth sailing so far. Yeah, I'm trying to see like what the major way of losing the boulder on this one would be. Because so far, it's a little more straightforward than the other sections. I mean, I don't want to claim there's no way of losing the boulder, especially now that they have these parts where there's no wall. But still, it's one of those sections that, at least so far, is on the easier side. But now it looks like maybe the blocks are getting a little bit bigger. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Maybe that's where some of the challenge is going to come from. Also here, we've got the lightning strike monument. So it feels good to pass that, because I know we've had that in the horizon for a long time. Which means now we are getting close to the summit. Just got to keep progressing, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and we will eventually get there. Of that, I am confident. Okay, checkpoint awaits. Okay, that's good. Oh, you bring up a good point, Tiafair, that, yeah, if you lose the diagonal checkpoints, you're less likely to catch it. I guess, yeah, maybe that's the only reason they did it like that. So we have maybe just a few more sections left. It's always hard to tell. Now with this next one, I've just got to make sure it does not go near the edge. So it goes near those edges. We've got those bombs. Though I can see that the ravines are making it try to go near the edge. So that's the challenge on this one. I got to walk this straight and narrow. Luckily, at least, looks like there are no bombs in the middle. But yeah, what's hard about this one is normally you can just like let it go to the wall as kind of a safety strat if the boulder ever gets away from you. But here, that option is out of the question. Yep, I'm just going to keep it as close to the center as I can. And we will, if all goes well, get to the next checkpoint that way. Going a little far to the left here for my liking. I'm going to try to move it closer to the right. Okay, yeah, that's better. Another thing, too, is that when the boulder is falling down, if you let it get away from you there, then that can quickly turn bad. It's easy for it to get away from you when it's rolling down one of the little crests in the hill. Yep, nice and steady, and if we just keep this up, then we should soon be at the next checkpoint. Okay. I'm just going to try to push it in this one here, but take a little break. Okay. I'm trying to remember what the deal with these things is. Yeah, those little eyes make me kind of nervous. I think if you hit the boulder with them, those things definitely do something. I'm pretty sure. So the task is just to make sure that that doesn't happen. I'm going to try to make sure I do not hit the weird turtle monsters with this boulder. Oh, it's turning toward me now. Oh, okay, that's it. They throw rocks at you. So you just have to be prepared. Prepared for their rocks. On the positive side, I guess at least they're not throwing rocks at Sisyphus. Because if they were incapacitating Sisyphus, I could see that being a good deal harder to deal with. Okay. But as long as they just keep doing it the way they've done it so far, should be able to manage it. Yeah, being able to anticipate the rock throws is a good strategy here too. Helps you be ready for it. And ideally, if you can get the boulder past them before they throw the rocks, then they kind of end up helping it up a little bit. So that's a good thing too. I think around this part of the level was where somebody was saying in the chat last time there's like a big rock near the center, but to like try to avoid it. So I'm going to keep that advice in mind. I will try to avoid touching any rock in the center in case it is the kind of thing that the devs put in there to throw a person off. Okay, there's quite a bit of force in those rock throws. They might be getting stronger. Yep. Yep, just got to be ready for it. I think there's one more set of rock-throwing turtles to my left, but after that, I don't think there are any more. Okay, it looks like maybe they didn't even get to throw the rock at it. So I'm going to try to avoid this rock in the center. That's kind of scaring me. But luckily, it does not seem to be moving. So now we just have... Okay, one kind of surreal section here. It's got some big gaps in the floor. And it looks like... Okay, Sisyphus can run on those, but No doubt the boulder cannot. At least it's pebbles and not heat vision, which I feared as their eyes were glowing. I mean, yeah, they do look pretty menacing. So it's good that, yeah, pebbles, you know, I can live with that. Okay, I think, chat, we have 2 more sections left. That's what it's looking like, if I remember correctly. You can actually see, yeah, we're getting kind of close to the ocean there. So wish me luck, everybody. Let's do this. Let's bring it home. Now, if you're really brave, you could try to send it straight down the middle there. However, I am not that brave. So I'm going to take it over here, over to this side. Fortunately, the ground on this one is nice and even. So no surprises, it seems, on how the boulder is moving. It's all just a matter of keeping up that steady control that the game has been kind of helping you build up this whole time. Here we do have a narrow section, though. Okay. So that part was kind of scary. Yep, gonna keep hugging the left edge here. Okay, nice and smooth. I can see up in the distance a few more parts that might be a little scary. Though maybe nothing more difficult than what we've handled so far. We'll just have to see. Looks like I am going to have to go more in the center. So there we go. Okay, center. So maybe I'll go to the right wall for this one. Okay, and yeah, okay, this looks like the part where it gets a little harder on this section. Got kind of a narrow bridge. But I made it through the ice section, which was narrower than this. So we will see. Okay, hold me, chat. Okay. That was close. I am sweating here, everybody. I forgot for a second Sisyphus could walk on the parts with the gap. So I made that one a little more dangerous than it had to be. But nevertheless, we are through it. So it looks like we are past even getting the checkpoints now. Now it is just the victory lap. Which, to be sure, does not mean that I can be complacent. If I lose track of the boulder now, I am going to be so embarrassed. So I'm going to try not to do that. But luckily, I think the hardest parts are behind us. Phew, that really was scary back there, though. I definitely should have taken that one a little more slowly. Yeah, if the yellow stuff were a hazard that would stun me, then I would have been cooked on that last part. No question about it. We do have some nice clouds here. I like the skybox for this game. And it looks like he's walking on some kind of marble right now. But I've got to say, with the white and the pink, it reminds me of flowers. Maybe that's what they were going for. Kind of walking through like a field of flowers almost. To greet your way into the columns coming up. Yeah, thank you for believing Victor Poe. That means a lot. Yeah, during that last part, TFR, yeah, the big rock there did look kind of like a golem, so maybe it was something like that. Might have to look it up on YouTube later if there are videos of like what happens if you touch that rock. But I'm kind of afraid to test it out. Or I would have been too afraid to test it out myself. Okay, some nice columns here. You know, one thing about like this whole setup, what the gods have done here to Sisyphus or for Sisyphus is that, yeah, at the very end at least they give it this kind of celebratory atmosphere. You can definitely feel the sense of victory. Like the only thing that's missing is like a bunch of people here cheering Sisyphus on. But maybe that's just like inherently a part of it, you know, that he has to face this alone. But even while facing it alone, he does get to see these nice little touches that just commemorate his victory, however fleeting it might be. I think there's something deeply poetic in that. So yeah, luckily, I don't think there's too much danger anymore. If I lose track of the boulder, though, well, for one thing, it'll be embarrassing, as I was saying earlier, but also, there's not very much to catch it, unless it goes to the edge, like one of those columns, which there's no guarantee it would stop there. So, really got to make sure I just keep track, keep on the way I'm going. Golem is somehow even worse than what you suggested. Okay, now I'm going to be super curious to hear what it is. So once we make it to the top chat, I'm not going to spoil what happens next, but I do think you'll like it. It's a nice little cinematic moment, if you will. So we'll get to experience it together. And just like that, that is the last set of columns. Ooh, now we can see the top. Okay, I am so feeling this. I'm ready to be at the top. Yep, the boulder has its own little platform there. I can see the spot where just need to roll right up there, and then Sisyphus, your journey, for this time around at least, will be complete. I wonder what happens if I roll it off the edge. I don't want to test it, but wow, I tell you what, it feels so surreal to be pushing the boulder around on flat ground. Like, well, if we just pause the boulder right here, or even just having it, like Sisyphus be kind of standing on flat ground. Like, if we look back at how far we've come a long way, y'all. And, oh no, okay, if the boulder starts rolling away, like, that would be really bad in this part. So I don't want that to happen. I was just a little curious to see, like, what's behind. If there's anything behind. Okay, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, Sisyphus can't jump off the edge. Okay, chat, are y'all ready for this? So I hope you all will enjoy this one with me. Here we go, final stretch. 3, 2, 1, pushing it up the ramp. Oh, and they're making it dramatic. They're making him go slowly. So here we go. Sisyphus, you got this. Just one last push. You can do it. We're here with you. I believe in you, Sisyphus. Yes, there it is. And here he is, the man himself, the god himself. We get to meet Zeus. Sisyphus, you finally reached the summit. I know your journey wasn't easy. Just like the world you've lived in, filled with effort and pain, injustices and resentments, things not going as planned. It's not just the world of humans that's absurd. Everyone eventually dies. Even the wisest cannot uncover all truths. Living without knowing even the reason for one's birth. As long as one is born human, the world seems only absurd. Sisyphus, what meaning can you find in this endless suffering? And now we have our choices, chat. I'm going to run through all of these because it lets you pick, and eventually you do have to settle on one, but just to show everyone what they all are. I'm going to run through all of them, even if these are not all necessarily answers that I would give. One of them is, I can say to Zeus, I wait for death. This endless punishment is too painful. What meaning could there be in it? I wish only for death to come. You found no meaning. Reflect further as the punishment continues. Wow, harsh words from Zeus here. So Zeus did not like our first answer, I wait for death. Let's see about the second one. I will roll the rock up 10,000 times. Moving this rock to the summit has become the goal of my life. 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Through this, I will prove the true value of my life. That's merely a goal you've set. It doesn't become the fundamental meaning of life. Zeus has shot down 2 of our proposals. Let us see what he thinks of the third. The gods will set me free. By rolling this heavy stone, I hope to gain the gods' favor and eventually be freed from this suffering. I believe my efforts will eventually liberate me. I'm sorry, but that won't happen. Only punishment will repeat. One choice left, chat. Sisyphus, what meaning can you find in this endless suffering? Zeus, I acknowledge meaninglessness. I acknowledge the meaninglessness and pursue unconditional joy in the moments between life and death. I will love and maintain this meaninglessness itself. I am already happy. Very impressive. It seems you found the meaning of your life. Not even this punishment can dominate you. I must reflect on this too. Well, the time has come. I will send down the boulder, so push it back up again. Wow, this is so dramatic. And there it goes, chat. All of the progress we've made. It's all going back to the beginning. You did not give up even amidst the endlessly repeating challenges. And in that process, you discovered true happiness. Oh, Malachite, that's what that is. We support your life, constantly striving like Sisyphus. Congratulations on clearing the game. Yep, and thank you, by the way, chat. I see all of your nice comments from you, Teradito and Tia Fair and Victor Poe. It means a lot. Yeah, bro finish just in case. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, TFR, near that last section. But yes, going ahead and finishing, I think that was a smart call. To make sure the boulder did not roll down. Time for a break. Yeah, I think you're right, Teradito. Yep, after this, it will be time for a nice break. And this is where, well, not quite as far as we got pushed back to, but right around here after this ice section, in the snow section, is around where we had to make it up from today. Yep, right around there. So this really was most of the mountain that we made it up in today's session. I'd forgotten about the scarecrows. Pyramid. Yeah, it's easy to forget about some of these sections if you make it through once and you don't have to go back to it. Oh yes, stone pathway. And here, back to the very first one. And there it goes. Okay, 4.5 hours on this one. Out of bounds count 12. 12,847 meters. Well, thank you, chat, for sticking with me on that one. Let's see, have I unlocked any new boulders? Settings. If I go to new game, 2 coin, 5,763 gold. Okay, maybe I should go for one of these new ones. Let's see here. For speed run. Do you really want to purchase 0 gold? Yeah, let's do for this one. Okay. 2 gold, 700 gold. Wonder what the best ones are. Marble 2. Oh, that one I have to get through achievement. Silk. Oh, I kind of like the silk one. Silk thread, sand, snow, smile. Potato. Okay, yeah, potato's good. Peach. Duck, emerald. Yeah, I didn't know I had this much gold built up. So if I ever play this game again, I can do it in style. Oh, the gold. Okay. Silver, bronze, iron. Going to go like this, and then I think next after that, yeah, the silver. Well, actually, red. I'll go for the thread. Yep. Snow, sand. Yeah, okay. I think that's 763 gold. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Well, thank you, chat, for the for the nice comments. So I've never actually watched a full playthrough of this game before. Thanks for showing off the entire thing. Yeah, why don't we go back to the... Let's see here, just chatting. Yeah, we'll go back to the main screen for a bit. So that was good. I really enjoyed that. I'm glad to know that you all did too. Thank you, Victor Poe. You did so good. Congrats. I appreciate that. So yeah, I think for right now, let's see, what's the best way of putting this? I'm trying to think of what lesson Sisyphus might have to teach me, for example, you know, to teach me about ways I should live. It's a question that's come up a few times in this playthrough. And I might have said this last time, but in case I neglected it, one thing I will say is that the idea of just having a resolute determination to pursue one's goals, and such a striking iconic image of putting that determination in action, is one that I quite like. So I'm going to attempt, at least, to keep that in mind as I pursue my own goals. I hope my own goals are going to involve different kinds of value, or a more lasting value than pushing a boulder up a hill and having it roll down again. Just as I hope that for most people's goals. But even if my goals fail to achieve any more value than that, at the very least, maybe there is a certain nobility in being able to pursue them with such determination. So I believe that is all I have for today. Again, thank you everyone for sticking around. I hope that you have your own moments of not being like Sisyphus, or not having like the same circumstance as Sisyphus, but in whatever endeavors you've directed your efforts to, I hope that you will feel that same determination for them, and that they will go well for you. Maybe you'll even get to meet Zeus along the way. That would be kind of cool. So thank you again, and next week I will be streaming a little bit more than this week. At least I'll be trying to stream a little bit more. Again, this week was kind of more rest, and had some guests over earlier in the week. But next week I'm going to try to actually start getting into a streaming schedule. So that'll be something to look forward to. All right, thanks again, chat. I will see y'all next week. Have a great rest of the weekend. Bye, everybody.